Hi, my name is Charlie McCormick, and I'm the president of Schreiner University. And I'm glad you're joining us today for the first of what we anticipate will be a multi-part series of the people of Schreiner University, an opportunity for us to talk to students and employees and faculty members and friends and board of trustees about how they got connected with Schreiner University and what this institution means to them. And I'm absolutely delighted that for our first interview today, we have Melissa Millan. And Melissa is both a former student and currently an employee of Schreiner University. So Melissa, thank you for letting us interview you today.
It's a pleasure.
Melissa, let me start by asking you, how did you get to Schreiner University?
Okay, so my find your way here story. I grew up in a colonia, and I grew up in a, let's call it traditional Mexican-American home, right? And all that means is that my father was incredibly traditional. He was very much the epitome of a strong Mexican figure. But in any case, I grew up in a low socioeconomic home. I grew up with parents who had not, attended college. But the point is, I never thought about college. It really wasn't something that was brought to me or to my attention. So one day, my best friend at the time, he was enrolled at Schreiner his freshman year, and he told me, I have to go back, do you want to come with me? And I was like, yes, yes. So I spent an unofficial week, and I don't know if I've ever mentioned this to you, I spent an unofficial week at Schreiner University. So I went to classes, I went to go get, lunch, and I was a part of the events, I went to bingo. I was a Schreiner kid. I was pretty much already bleeding maroon. So by the end of my trip, one of your English professors, who unfortunately is no longer here, he asked me, he goes, are you a student here? And I was like, oh, it's over. I've been discovered. So what I did is I told him in a very childish, frightened manner, no, sir. No, not even a little bit. I haven't even graduated high school. And you have those moments where somebody changes your life. This man changed my life. He said, well, you should apply. I came, he asked me he brought that to my attention. I applied. I got accepted. I was like, okay, it looks like I'm going to college. So it was a very quick turn of events, and the hardest part was bringing it to the attention of my family. So I tell my dad in a very nonchalant way, like, oh, here's your dinner, I'm going to college. Do you want more tortillas? Because I can get you some. I will make you some. And so he very much just asked me why. And I was like, well, I think it would be good for me. Because I didn't even know why. I just wanted to come. I had a great week. I was going to keep doing it, And so he asked me why, and I didn't have a good answer for him. I just told him, I think it would be good for me. And he was like, no. And I was like, okay, all right. Well, there was that, so that was it. It was a straight no, and you don't question it, right? So it was bothering me. I'd been accepted. I wanted to go. I wanted to explore this further. So I asked my mom. And when in doubt, ask mom, be like, hey, dad said no, but can you work your magic? Can you do something for me? I came to my mother, and I kind of had a little heart-to-heart with her, and I was telling her that this is something that I wanted to do. And she kind of took a pause, and she looked at me, and she said, y si quieres ir, ve, vuela, ve, vuela. And so, for those who don't speak Spanish, she basically told me, go, fly. Don't let them cage you, go fly. And I was like, okay, that was my green light, that was my green ticket. I was like, let's do it. I can do this. I started doing the process. And a week before I came to Schreiner, my summer's over, I graduated. A week before I come to Schreiner, I decided to bring it up to my dad that I need to start packing. So I told him, I'm going to go to college. And he was like, I said no. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go anyway. So I started packing, and he goes to me and he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm going to school. I'm going to go to Kerrville. I'm going to go to college. I will be back. Don't freak out. I'm going to be back. So his first reaction was like, no, put those things down. No. I was like, okay. So it felt like he was going through the 5 stages of depression. The first one was denial. He's like, you're not going anywhere. Put those bags down. And I was like, okay. Sure, daddy. And then after that, he got angry. He was like, no, you can't go. Why do you need to go? You're abandoning the family. So it pains you. It pains you to leave your family. Once he was starting to accept, he's like, why do you have to go so far? Fine. You want to go to college? He didn't understand that I wanted to go. That was the first problem. Why do you want to go to college? Then, why do you want to go so far? So he was like, go to the local community college. We actually had a large state school in the Valley area. We have a couple large state schools. So he's like, just, I'll get you a car, drive there, come home, drive there, come home. You know, go to your little classes. I told him no. I didn't want a lot of my smarter friends, a lot of my more put together friends, they went to local schools. Not many of us ventured out. And so this was something that I wanted to do. And so the simple fact that those schools were in the Valley and I would just live at home, and I was like, no, I need to be immersed. I want to go venture out. This is where I'm going to be, and I'm going to stand my ground. So I did. I stood my ground. He threw all his cars at me. And then a week later, my mother, you know, God rest her soul, she was the best. She kind of helped me run away from home. So I just, you know, took what I had on my back and I walked out. And I was like, okay, let's go to Schreiner. And I caught a ride with my best friend. And 4 years later, I graduated from Schreiner University.
And of course, Melissa, those of us who know you are delighted you found your way here to Schreiner University. So tell me a little bit about your experiences while you were a student at Schreiner.
When I talk to my future students, I always start with, you kind of grow into yourself when you're in college, as cliche as that sounds. So I was able to kind of explore a little more into what effects I wanted my life to have. And again, it gets very, and I say this to my students too, because I start sounding like I'm writing this, you know, book or something, and it's full of cliches, but it's true, and it doesn't sound so cliche when you've experienced it, and that's something that I experienced. I was able to grow as an individual, I was able to grow as an academic, and I was able to grow as a member of my community. So those are kind of the three things that I felt I gained from my experience here.
So Melissa, now you're working with admissions. And you're out telling students about Schreiner University and recruiting them to Schreiner University. What do you tell them? Why is that important for you to be able to do that?
Absolutely. My one pet peeve with this is when people call me a recruiter. I don't feel like that's the proper terminology. And this might come from my liberal arts education, right? I'm like, no. Like, no, there's connotations to recruiter that I don't appreciate, because I'm not selling Schreiner. Like, I don't sit here and sell Schreiner. I don't sit here and polish a building and say, look how shiny, don't you want to buy it? You know, and I don't feel like that's what Schreiner even is. So when I am talking to students, I don't present myself as a recruiter. I don't present myself as somebody who wants you to buy into something. When I talk to my students, and I love talking to my students and my parents, and I will visit them in their homes. I will go down to, their high schools. I will talk to their counselors for them. I will go to bat for my students. I really will. And it's because the students that get that far have the same passions that I had. So when I'm out there talking to students, I don't talk about, and I say this very blatantly, Schreiner's a unique and just vibrant and just quirky place. I am looking for the students who fit this place. And those students are the ones that are successful. Those students are the ones that go on and become alumni like myself. People who love this place, people who give back to this place. And that's how you build, that's how you build a family. So they're always taken aback when I'm like, I don't want you to just look at my school. Go visit other schools. Because how are you supposed to know them better if you can't see? If you have no means of comparison, be smart. I want you to be smart and forward. So I'm looking for very specific students. So my idea is I'm going to go talk to as many students as I have to talk to until I find that one who has that same passion, who has that same just rigor, who has that same, drive. So I don't sell Schreiner. I'm not a recruiter. I just provide choices.
Well, thank you, Melissa, for being here today and sharing your story with us. We appreciate it very much. I encourage you to come back and check again when we hear from other people and their voices and stories about Schreiner University. Thank you.